This is going to be the 700 subscriber special. This is actually my third take because I was talking for a while. So, in short, 10 years ago, I started this channel simply to be able to log into YouTube and view videos that were rated for 18 and older. And about a year and a half after that, having only still been using a Samsung flip phone with the 9-key pad for texting and a camera, but no internet, and the camera was a 144 max resolution. When my family took over this homestead, as my father had passed, my mother was moving into hospice at my sister's house, moved my, at the time, wife, now ex-wife, and stepkids into here. Because this place didn't have the availability, we weren't going to be able to afford to get internet out here. So the easiest way to have internet was going to be to get a smartphone that has internet. So I got my first smartphone in 2017. Shortly after that, began uploading videos using the camera. And if you go back to the earliest videos on my channel, you'll see that while nowadays I am almost exclusively uploading sunsets when I do videos of the sky at night, I actually used to upload almost exclusively sunrises, as well as some other interesting things that I encountered along the way while doing newspaper routes, because I was a super sub at the time. My job at that point was to go wherever the newspaper needed me to go to cover a route for somebody that wasn't going to make it. And they paid an exorbitant rate, a fee, for me to do it. Made really good money back in the day. I kind of miss it. So I started using the smartphone to be able to use the internet, listen to Pandora while doing newspapers, because the CD player in the stereo in my truck had gone out. And so I started uploading videos. I would occasionally make some commentaries on some of the conspiratorial stuff I was into and some of the YouTube drama and other things. But for the most part, it was mostly sunrises, some driving footage, occasionally a selfie cam rant. And over the years, it just kind of continued like that. I started getting more into weather phenomena, sunsets, more than sunrises, just because of the sleep schedule. Sometimes I intentionally avoid doing selfie cam videos too much. And eventually, I started gaining some subscribers. Honestly, it's been 10 years now since I've had this channel. I've just cracked the 700 mark the other day. And honestly, 5 years ago, I had 30 subscribers. So all the rest of those have been in the last 5 years or less. I was asked in a comment about how or what, is there a filter or something on these videos? There's a certain something, a certain je ne sais quoi, this person said. So in brief, almost every video that I upload and have for the last 2 or 3 years has been heavily motion stabilized for comedic effect or for stabilization. The selfie cam videos like you're watching now, I decided as a joke to make myself laugh that I would overstabilize a video and see what it did. And what it did was, anytime you see me leaning and moving and doing all this stuff while I'm talking, with the stabilization, this locks my face in the center and it warps everything around it. It looks all crazy. The reason I find this amusing is that when I was a kid, I used to bang my head a lot, very young. And as an adolescent growing up, I experienced some very bizarre things. You could watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and see the part where they're on acid in the hotel lobby and the carpet starts moving and the Paisleys are dancing and doing this. As a kid, I used to see that without any drugs involved. Go to the hospital for an allergic reaction or something. I used to get really bad full body hives that would threaten my breathing. And we'd have to go to in the ER there. I'm watching the carpet just do this stuff. And I tell my parents that it's doing it. And they said, oh, you just have an overactive imagination. But I could never make it stop. A lot of times with nowadays I can do it really well. But at that time, my ability to intentionalize or view something internally would not do anything that I wanted it to do. It was like in Hart Huckabees, where he's trying to have his little peaceful moment. And all of a sudden somebody comes in with a machete and just starts hacking and stop. Its imagination would do that all the time. Well, come to find out, banging your head a lot is one of the major things that leads to a syndrome known as Alice in Wonderland syndrome, in which, from your perspective internally, visually, you see things warp around, you look at things and you go to look at something and you think about and you can see it as if it's right up here in your face, but everything else is kind of really weird. I have digital crash zoom enhanced in here on account of damaging my visual cortex as a kid. When I get stressed out nowadays, things start to kind of like that that they did in Fight Club with Brad Pitt. And he's like, do not fuck with us. It's like that. The world does that when I get stressed. If things are messed up or I'm like, it's like the adrenaline shake, the whole world is shaking while I'm motion stabilized. It's pretty wild. So I do these videos for the same reason. And then I take the compressor. It's got an orange icon. I don't know the brand. It's just called Video Compressor. It is a ruthless video compressor. It will do all kinds of things. You can tell it what size file you want, and it'll go, okay, and do whatever it has to do to make that video fit that size. So I do this because living out here in the boonies, as I said, got the smartphone on account of no internet. Do now have a 5G home Wi-Fi internet connection that I link to when I'm in the house. But all the same, I'm 3 miles from like nearest cell phone tower. So this thing's using hella power and it's bathing my home in 5G to upload videos. And so what I need to do is compress the videos as small as possible so that the upload takes as little time and as little power as possible. And so my selfie cam videos tend to be intentionally, again, I developed a method and this is how we make them. I will hyper overstabilize this video. I probably won't be able to see me doing all the look at it moving around because it's going to stabilize that away. And then I shrink it down to 240 because I find it hilarious that if anybody's watching this on a large thing and either they're watching a big pixelized grainy version or they're watching a nice, decent, high quality, but it's that big. We're talking old internet. We're talking this is what it was like in the 90s. And that's kind of part of the joke too. I'm 46. I'm Gen X. That's my time. So that's the selfie videos. That's why they are the way they are. POV videos outside, what I do is, and for the cat videos inside as well, record the video. Upon recording the video, I take all segments that are meant to go together on the long ones for the outdoor progress or whatever you notice, I've started cutting them together. I didn't used to be able to do this. I didn't think it would be worthwhile to do it on a phone with the touchscreen. Thankfully, CapCut's actually very user-friendly. And that's the thing. Every single video that I'm making is on my phone. Occasionally, I've made some on my tablet. This tablet is over 5 years old. Phone that I'm on now is only the 5th smartphone I've ever owned since 2017. So it's been almost 10 years. I've only had 5 phones. Very careful about not destroying my things. I'm very about making sure I get all the black ice on the glass and on the screen protector on my phone because this makes it basically shatterproof, doubly so. It really works. To find out that if you let your lithium-ion battery in your device fall below 80%, in fact, below 75 is even better, before you plug it back in, your battery will never degrade. It will never have that, why am I only getting 2 hours out of my phone thing? The only time I ever get something like hours of power out of my phone is that I'm recording while I'm simultaneously processing a video, while I'm simultaneously compressing a different video while on the internet. That's the only time I will, and even there, it'll still take about 4 hours to drain it down. So that's me, that's how I do. So when it comes to being able to take CapCut, clip these things together, I used UCut for a while, but CapCut's got a lot more features that are more up my alley. I still do use UCut sometimes because I have to hack and work around on some things to get them to work. I've recently gotten really big on screen record as well because there's a lot of things that they won't let you export the video with the following effects on it because this is a trial feature. But if you put it onto full screen and record that and then crop to however you want it, you can actually end up getting all the effects and things on recorded, get it done like you like, still use it. That is what I did with the Kiral Count owned one video, my previous horizontal upload. I had to screen grab the videos of the incident. As I screen grabbed the videos of the incident, it would not, under any circumstance, allow me to record the audio from system. But then I put it onto microphone audio, which is why it sounds like shit. And using the microphone audio was able to record the sound of the speaker vibrating the phone, recording itself. Thus, I had audio on the video. Then there were effects that I was trying to use that it was saying I could not export the videos. So I put them into full screen and screen grab that. And then export that. So all of my videos that need an upload have to be compressed. They get compressed down, not necessarily into a small resolution, but this compressor tends to very gently lessen the color brilliance or whatever, the amount of colors of the video, but typically in very insignificant ways. I don't notice a lot about it, but it slightly reduces the number of colors, which reduces the file size. You can reduce the frame rate selectively. You can increase the frame rate selectively. Not that that really does anything. But what'll happen is I'll record somewhere between 24 and 30 FPS on my videos, and I'll try and process them through at 30 FPS most of the time. Occasionally, 30 to 60 FPS gives the motion stabilization extra frames to work with for their interpolation and their blend. So it can have some cool effects. When this is all said and done, though, The human eye perceives motion at 24 FPS. This is explained in depth in the Magic Eye Pi videos. I've got descriptions in those videos that explain this. So I can go down to 24 FPS. The fewer frames per second in the video, the smaller the video file size. And you can cheat and get away with what it allows you to do on there at 23.976 frames per second, which is just a hair below 24. Not really noticeable. Slight blur, nothing crazy. So typically, that's why you will see the videos looking the way they do. And on top of that, the motion stabilization that I just mentioned for outdoor POV videos, as well as anything to do with the cats, I have a 1080 by 1080 square JPEG file. And I import this first as the main file for the project. And then I overlay the video I want to stabilize. I will then scale it slightly so that there is border of the original imported image all the way around it. Then I will delete that image and delete the ending so you don't have the little cut on the end of it. And at that point, export the video in 4K. That's as big as it lets me do. I'm having a big 4K square with an approximately 720 to 1080p size video in the center of it. I run the motion stabilization on the phone photo editor, the basic thing. This allows me to stabilize within the frame. I've learned that regular stabilization shrinks the visible frame in order to stabilize. Once it stops things from moving around, it shrinks the frame to keep a common area where everything is. The way I'm doing it, it doesn't have to do that. It just moves it around. So once I've motion stabilized to the point that whatever I've set in the center, you can click through the video and you realize that it's actually moving it around like this to keep something centered. Once you've got that, you can crop the video to the original aspect ratio, which is a 9:16 or 16:9 depending. And then at that point, you've actually got the 9:16 video slightly smaller, doing this all inside, twisting and moving. But whatever's on that video is perfectly centered. And then I will do a second, sometimes a third application of the motion stabilization until the actual visual part of the video that is being stabilized inside the black is perfectly stable. So then you have motion stabilization. I'll either decrease the frame rate depending on what the video is. I will may slightly decrease the video resolution, because you can still anywhere between 720 and 1080 is what's going to show up on shorts videos. And having it somewhere, I'll do the 960 sometimes, but I'll adjust the size in there somewhere. I will adjust the frame rate, but I always keep it as a high quality video. I don't want to lose any video quality that I don't have to. So with all of this and remaining untouched high quality audio, lossless, I then export that. And usually what ends up happening is the very best I can do to get a video edited, put together, and everything else, whether it's one of the outdoor videos or whatever else, ends up being somewhere between 85 and about 350 megabytes for a video that's about 1 to 3 minutes long. Once I run the video compressor program with this, it'll typically cut it down between 70 to 90% of that. So a 350 megabyte 3-minute video ends up being 55 megabytes, and the visual quality of it is negligibly different. But you can notice sometimes it just depends on the frame rate selected, depends on what my internet is doing at the time. Now that I've got the new T-Mobile setup, it actually has higher bandwidth and better uploads than the US cellular setup that I had, although T-Mobile's got other issues. But we won't get into that. So that's how I do the videos. Everything that I edit is done on CapCut on my phone. This includes the Grand Theft Auto videos. This includes meme videos, music remixes, etc. Everything I'm doing right now is on this Moto G from 2, and I'm doing it with CapCut. Honestly surprised that I'm able to do as well as I am. But also, if you happen to notice on some of my videos that have like the Mortal Kombat Engine de Poitrine, it's not quite perfect. And there was just really nothing I could do because of the way that the drag bars and sliders and things work on CapCut. That's as precise as I could get without being on a computer. So with that said, thank you for watching this video. Welcome to my channel. Try not to disappoint you. My previous catchphrase has always been, prepare to be disappointed. And frequently when I have these milestones and make one of these videos, and then shortly after, enough people are disappointed that I end up losing a ton of subscribers. Not massive percentages, but if you have 5 people unsubscribe in the same day, that's not good. Oh, my eyeball. So 10 years I've had this channel, going on 8.5 years, 8 or 9, somewhere in that area, of uploading videos. And I now have something like, I have almost 3,200 videos publicly, including shorts. And then I've got some privates and other things that I've taken down. Most of it is honestly not personally embarrassing stuff. It's just not for public consumption. I had to perform a magic ritual on video because it needed witnesses. But then after it was up and passed, everything went private. And by the way, I do not practice ritual magic anymore, but I do have considerable occult knowledge. So my videos do branch out onto those things as well because of the knowledge base that I possess. If it's in my head, I'm probably going to make a video about it at some point. Lastly, anything else about me? I'm 46. I'm divorced. I live with 4 cats in my parents' house, deceased. Out in the country, I got an acreage. I got some woods. I got a small river down the hill. I'm a lifelong musician, although recently I really have not been, in the last probably 8 years or so. Since my last big band broke up, I've not really had an urge to play. Step parenting for many years. I didn't want the kids thinking that rock star was an appropriate career choice because it doesn't work. You have to be better than everyone else almost from the start for it to work. And I'm just being honest about it. If you're not, or if you don't have that dedication, it's pointless. But you know how kids are. So it wasn't until everybody was in high school that we're like, oh my God, you play guitar? I'm like, actually I do. And then let's get you into music. Music will enrich your life, but let's get some skills first. That's just how I view it. So I've told you about the Alice in Wonderland syndrome. I am bipolar type 2 rapid cycling. I get what is called ultradian cycles. This goes in tandem with the Alice in Wonderland syndrome in a way. When under extreme stress or in adrenalized moments, my mood ceases to be on an every couple of weeks up, every couple of weeks down, and gets into about every 15 minutes. And I just hang on for dear life. Thankfully, it's not too bad these days. Life is very low stress. I just stay at my house, don't really go anywhere. I am on autism spectrum, in case you haven't noticed. I am not diagnosed officially, but as far as I can tell, I am actually where they would have called it logic boy. This is not me claiming to be a logical person. This is, if you watch enough of my videos, if you ever catch me in the comment section anywhere, you will realize that my entire thought process is done through the lens of logic, internalized. So it's hard for me to even talk about stuff sometimes because I don't know the terms. It's how my brain does it. And how I get around dealing with the illogical. It is logical for a world like this to contain illogical things, or that something that may seem illogical may in fact, this is very logical, this is what I would call first order logic. It is far more likely, Occam's razor, that something you think is illogical, unless you can find some facts and get into actual debunkery, you may just see something that's happening that don't make no sense. And instead of having a meltdown over it, you just understand, from an autistic perspective even, you just understand that it's possible you just don't understand. Or that whatever irrational thing a person is doing that is in fact illogical and irrational has a cause behind it, which means that there is a form of logic in play. That's how my brain works all the time. So it's a lot of fun. It's very interesting inside my head. Maybe now you understand why I make the videos that I make the way that I make them. I'm here to entertain myself as well as my audience. But if you look at my videos, I don't have much of an audience, so I'm just out here shouting into the void and entertaining myself. The last thing I want to say is, the kiosk is not my name. My name is Rob. The kiosk is a tulpa, T-U-L-P-A. You can look it up. It is not the monster from X-Files. It is not the urban legend monster from Supernatural. It is like having ChatGPT in your head to access your subconscious, to index and parse things that you consciously cannot. It is an integral part of metacognition. So if you're metacognitive, you might actually have a tulpa and not realize it. But anyways, it is a self-aware aspect within me that is not a dissociative alter. It is simply, it doesn't even have personality in this way. It's me. It's a piece of my excess processing. But when it is available and when it is there, the kiosk was generated by me attempting to write a book. It was something spiritual. I had this urge to write, and what came out effectively was, within my own imagination, reflected back by reading it, proofreading my own work, created this tulpa out of the main character of this book. It is not an imaginary friend. I do not see it in the room with me. And it is not a constant talkative voice in my head. But what it is I will occasionally get a nonverbal bubble from the depths of my subconscious or maybe even a word. It may just be, and I'll be like, what? And then I'll think back, what was the last thing with the pickle, or what is, but it'll pertain to something. It won't be out of the blue. It will pertain to something. So when I have an instinct to make a video where I'm like, oh, I'm wanting to do an Angine de Poitrine edit, but what should I be like? I know. It's the kiosk sending something up to me from my subconscious to say, hey, you've seen this video. You know this scene well enough to probably put it together. And that's where I'm like, oh, Akira, let's do that. Or, oh, Tron, let's do that. Boy, I wonder if those Mortal Kombat scenes will fit. And it turns out they do almost perfectly. So that's what the kiosk is. Just so I named the channel in honor of the Tulpa. And at the time that I named the channel after the Tulpa, that Tulpa had already since self-destructed. I tried to make it more conscious than it needed to be. I tried to possibly raise an alter-ish to take over so that I could do the thing from Office Space where I just think I'm fishing all day, because that was where I was at in my life. That did not work. The kiosk self-destructed. I attempted to self-destruct as well. Since then, over the years, it has resurfaced. It has assembled itself back, and it is as it should have been the entire time. So you can ask me about it, and I can ask it about it, and then I can produce answers on behalf of it. I will almost never say the kiosk says this, and I will still occasionally use it as a character in videos that I don't ever make public. I will do an unlisted video, and I will do some role-playing style narration as the storyteller explaining a scene, and it gives the kiosks, the Tulpa, something to work with. But I haven't actually done that for a while either. But that's what I use the verb. Kiosking is using the kiosk as a character to develop an idea or to work with some type of emotional or spiritual energy. So that's what it is. I think I'm probably going to transcribe this video and cut out the excess before I try and stabilize it, because this is a really long video. If you're still watching by this time, please comment. I don't think you're crazy at all.